Hi, I'm BJ Weeks with the Cherokee Beekeepers Club in Cherokee County, Georgia. It is June 22nd or 23rd, 23rd, thank you. And we want you to understand how simple it is to do a mite drop test with the bees. And we're not gonna actually do it. We're just gonna go through very quickly 3 methods. Method number 1. It's nice to have a board that has squares so you don't lose count of what's been counted and what hasn't. Spray it with a vegetable oil or wipe it down with shortening. Slide it underneath your screen bottom board. Leave it there for 24 hours. The mites drop. The oil traps them or kills them, and they will stay there and be there when you take it out after 24 hours. Second method also uses the board, but it's a quick test that you would do during the daytime. And you would take roughly 1/4 to 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. You would put the panel underneath. You do not need to put the oil on it for this one because it's a fast test. And with the supers off, you would use some kind of a spice bottle or a shaker bottle to shake about the 1/4 to 1/2 cup of powdered sugar up and down the lines between the top bars of the brood frames. So if you've got 2 brood chambers and it's all honey in the top one, set that one off. 90% of the mites in your hive are going to be in the brood. And so your brood chamber is your prime time place to test for the mites, and you'll get the best test there. If you've got them all over in the supers on the bees that are working there, your problem is way past having to do a test for. You should be able to see the mites on the bees as you're working in them. So this is the idea, to give you an early warning so that you don't have a hive collapse 6 weeks into the future. And there are things that you can do when you have your supers on, but normally those are kind of special things, and it all depends on the strength of your hive and how much brood you have. The third method would be a shaker bottle, and this has the jar flat removed and 1/8 inch hardware cloth put in. But you would take a brood frame, you'd find your queen so that you did not get her in here. Actually, you'd find her, set her to the side, put her in something to hold her. I would recommend laying a piece of newspaper on top of the brood chamber and shaking the frame onto the newspaper, folding it into a U-type funnel and just dribbling the bees off of that into the jar. You want about 1.5 inches, roughly 100 bees, and put the lid on, and you can dump 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar through the screen. Roll them for a few minutes. You don't have to shake them and kill them. You just roll it, and then you set it down and just let it be for a couple more minutes. And then you have your white paper and you just shake it, and the mites will have been removed from the bees, and they will be coming out. The bees will still be alive. They'll be in here, and then you can turn them loose and let them go back. A test like this doesn't have to be precise. It gives you indications. And the other thing is that you may have nothing in some hives, and you may have real high in other hives, and you may have in between in some hives. So don't think that just because one comes out with a good or a bad test that everyone's going to be the same. But when you do treat, you will want to treat all of them. The idea of the possibility of treating now in June is so that your main treatment in August won't be at the high level, which would cause you to have lots of viruses. And it's the viruses that are many times worse than the actual mites themselves. And the bees, they can carry and transmit the viruses, but it is at a very small rate compared to the mites being able to carry and transfer those viruses. So, that's all.